Hello, this is wmpyr. In this video, I want to talk about what is a martial artist. The reason why I bring this up is because in a interview video, I saw they basically asked Steven Seagal what he thought of like Van Damme or Michael Jai White or some other martial arts actor. And I believe Steven Seagal's response was something like, come on, those guys aren't real. They're not true martial artists. I think it was something along those lines, right? So that just basically means that to Steven Seagal, his bar of what he defines as a martial artist, his definition, the bar is very, very high, very difficult in quality, let's say. So I just wanted to, I guess, talk about that. So before we go into martial artist, let me simplify and go with martial arts. What is martial arts? Okay, martial art is basically, martial means war, so we're talking about the art of war, the art of combat. What is an art? Art is something you create. So martial art essentially means it's something that you create for the purpose of war, okay? So that's pretty much the way that I define it right there. This could be something like you could be practicing how to punch. So you're devoting time and developing the skill and strategies and trying to make your punch more effective. If you're doing this, then you are studying martial art, because that punch is a technique that you are creating essentially for yourself. You're creating a weapon for yourself to use for a potential combat situation. So that fits perfectly with martial arts, and that's what we do. We train and we practice these techniques. We work on these skills and strategies that have some basis in combat, right? Some roots in combat. So that's essentially what we're doing. Now, when we go into martial artist, right? What is that? When we go into martial artist, I think it's kind of, we could kind of follow the same idea here. But when we say artist, I think the idea is that we're now talking about some sort of expert, okay? So it's someone that does that, but at a very high level, because they've been doing that, they've been crafting that, and they've been developing that for quite some time, right? So that's when the artiste, when you add that element there. Now, for example, you could have someone who likes comic books, like myself. I like comic books, and to me, someone who writes and draws, illustrates comic books, that's an artist right there. Now, I like comic books, so I might doodle some stuff. Does that make me an artist? No, I don't think that that's a high enough, even though I'm creating and I'm kind of doing the same thing, but the level is just not high enough that I could call myself an artist. I'm learning art, I'm practicing art, but I'm not at that league where I could call myself an artist, in my opinion. So I think we could kind of say the same thing with martial arts. But then, at what point do you become from practitioner and student to the point where you can now call yourself an expert, right? So when do you become martial arts student to finally martial arts expert? To me, that's an opinion, all right? And some people may say that a martial artist is someone that can actually fight for real. That's their requirement, so to speak, for their definition of martial arts. Another person might say, no, it doesn't matter if you can fight really well for real. That's not what's important. If you don't have some kind of code of honor, if you're not spiritual, then you're not a true martial artist. It doesn't matter if you're an awesome fighter and you could kick a lot of butt. If you don't have the philosophy, if you don't have the Zen attitude, then you're not a real martial artist. So other people have different definitions, different requirements of what they think is a true martial artist. So then to me, that's all opinion, and I'm not here to say who's wrong or right. But what I am here to say, my final message here, is to say, instead of worrying about who is a true martial artist, who isn't, and arguing about that and fighting over what is the true definition of something like that, I would say, as far as martial arts practitioner or martial arts student, that's very easy. If you go to a school, you put on your white belt and you go practice, you are a martial arts practitioner. You are a martial arts student. You could watch some YouTube videos and you could do solo training and you could do your own research, and you are still a martial arts practitioner, a martial arts student. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and that's nice and simple. It's not complicated. No one's arguing over that. And that is something that I myself would like to carry that for the rest of my life. I want to be a martial arts practitioner for the rest of my life. I want to be a martial arts student and keep learning and have an open mind for the rest of my life. So I'd say work on that and work on being the best student that you can be. Work on becoming better at learning. And I think that's way more important than trying to go, when am I now an expert? When am I now, can I call myself a true martial artist? To me, those are all ego-driven anyway. So that's it for now. Those are my 2 cents. Thank you for listening, and take care, folks.